Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss what chemistry, the divine design of nature, the divine elementary chemistry. Essence of everything is found in DIVYANK, that is the divine design of nature, and it is integrated enlightening wisdom. With respect to that, we are going to discuss what fundamental elementary chemistry. Solar system we know is made of the 4 inner planets and then asteroid belt and outer planets, and they all come from sun and they are part of the sun, and there are 10 heavenly bodies which I have already explained. In respect to that, we will understand these 4 inner planets to start with. And these are the 4 inner planets. You have the sun, after that you have the Mercury, then you have Venus, then you have Earth, and then you have Mars. These are the 4 things which stand out in 4 inner things as such. Now let's understand this atmosphere of the solar system as we know. The first one is the Mercury, and is it terrestrial segment or solid segment or inner planets? In this particular picture you can see very clearly the content of oxygen is 42% there, which is twice of Earth's 21 thing. That's very interesting. And second thing comes to the Venus, and it has got 96% carbon dioxide. And the third is Earth, which talks about nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, and then rest of the gases. When come to the Mars, you are again back to carbon dioxide, which is 95%, and the rest of the thing come in the process. These are the 4 things which I want to start with as such. Sun, which produces hydrogen and helium alone. And the third thing which comes out is oxygen, which is 42% in Mercury and 21% in Earth. And these 3 things stand out very clearly. Then the question comes up further is Venus, nitrogen, and Mars, nitrogen, and I do believe even Earth to start with had same 97% carbon dioxide to start with, which is converted into nitrogen 75% and 21 oxygen, and that is where the whole divine chemistry starts as such. So there is one thing very clear. First element is hydrogen, second is helium, third which stands out in this concept is oxygen, and then carbon dioxide. Keeping these things in mind, we are going to see the chemistry of divine chemistry, which fundamentally started in nature and how it started taking shape in the human body as such. Now come to the inner planet. As I told you, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and that. Mercury has the maximum oxygen, 42%, agreed. Venus has the maximum carbon dioxide, 96% and 97%, agreed. Mother Earth has oxygen 21% and nitrogen 78%, agreed. Mars has the maximum carbon dioxide, 96%, agreed. But the impeccable wisdom, as I told in the beginning, Mother Earth had 97% carbon dioxide to start with, because it was between Venus and Mars as such. The heat of sun from hydrogen and helium produce oxygen first, which is Agni element, and the Agni element is a fire. There is no fire without oxygen, and that is a fundamental concept which I want the world to understand. And once that is understood, you will know very well how we can go on. Now comes to the equilibrium of the solar system. As I told you, Mother Earth is located with Venus and Mars, agreed. Atmosphere Mother was filled with 97% to start with, is something which I am very convinced. With sunlight and photosynthesis in plants, the atmosphere of Mother Earth changed to 21% oxygen. Now it's very clear. Formation of oxygen is because of 2 things. One is photosynthesis, sunlight, and second is a plant. whereas in mercury it is only sunlight which produces 42% oxygen. That is very clear, and we are going to understand this elementary chemistry so that we can move on very well how the chemistry was developed in the divine nature. And once we understand that, we will never make a mistake in understanding the fundamentals of elementary chemistry, organic chemistry or biochemistry as we move on. This is starting of the chemistry and elementary chemistry, inorganic chemistry, next will be organic chemistry, then biochemistry thereafter. Now come to the question of this picture of photosynthesis. I am showing it. You can see the light of sun which is going to light reaction, and it is water which is getting converted into oxygen. That is the concept which I want everybody to understand. Plants take water from the earth and convert into oxygen, which has converted carbon dioxide into something. On the other side, you say carbon dioxide is taken as a Kelvin, is converted into sugar, and that's it. Once this carbon dioxide is to sugar, carbohydrate, and water into oxygen. Once this is understood on the plant kingdom, you understand the same concept was there in the divine consciousness, because nature does not make any difference at all. That's why everything is centers around Divyank alone. And now you're going to see the beauty of Divyank, which I told you, 22 by 21 to the power of 10.34419 equivalent to 1.618034. You're going to see the application of that in divine nature by and large. Now come to the divine periodic table, and I'm glad that modern scientists throughout the world have created a periodic table which is reflection of exactly what is written in Rig Veda as such. Rig Veda is an element, atom, element, molecule, compound, everything as such. The entire elementary chemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, everything is there in Rig Veda, and the reflection that can be seen in periodic table. And most important thing, Rig Veda is Agni element which stands out. That means it is what oxygen which stands out, and once you understand the oxygen, rest of things become very clear. Oxygen is Agni element which is the middle one. If you reduce oxygen, it becomes water, fluid, and reduce heat again, it becomes solid ice. But if you increase the heat, water becomes Agni, Agni becomes Vayu, Vayu becomes Akash. And once this is thing, then you know the modern science, everything is interchangeable. You take it to divine chemistry, the design is 1,000 times better than the modern science I talked about in chemistry. Once that is understood, is very clear. So now there are four atoms or elements which are very important. First thing, the hydrogen. In the first period, hydrogen. The second thing along with that comes is the helium, which is Antaratma, which does not take part in chemistry, but it gives you the knowledge of the wisdom as such, because the first divine energy which gets into the human body to enlighten us completely. Once that is understood, is very clear. The third thing is a carbon, and fourth is oxygen. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, these are the three ones which are going to produce chemical reaction, whereas helium will not produce any reaction like Atma. It is there as a facilitator, catalyst, but doesn't take part in action. It cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be dissolved, distinct otherwise. But it is a very good facilitator to make us real, because it has got all the knowledge A to Z within itself. Once that is understood, is very clear. Now come to the question of the molecules, the most important molecules which nature produced in the beginning. As you can see, is the methane, is the first one, which has got 10 protons, very clear, 10 protons, 10 electrons as such. Water is again 10 protons and 10 electrons as such. Then carbon dioxide has got 22 protons and 22 electrons. Once this is understood, your chemistry is going to take a beautiful shape to form step by step how nature unfolded its secrets one by one, and you're going to see all that as we move in this chemistry, and thereafter to organic chemistry, to biochemistry thereafter. Now come to the question, the divine drama of chemistry. This is the concentration of the formation of methane on the earth. And I have given these 6 examples where methane combustion is taking place on earth, and that is what it is. Nature produced methane in the beginning. Now we are producing methane again on the earth, and this is the balance which I am talking about. To start with, there was methane with the 10 protons, and now again we are producing methane by using these different carbonic structures, including gas, etc., in the factory, other thing, and which is methane again used for that, and then again to the formation of carbon dioxide thereafter. Once this concept is very clear, it's a reflection of what was done before creation on the earth has come down to, again we are doing the same thing step by step. Once you understand the previous and the present, that is the divine drama of chemistry which I am talking about. Now come to the divine chemistry of mathematics. Methane is equivalent to 1 carbon, which has 6 protons and 6 electrons, and 4 hydrogen, 4 electrons, 4 protons, equivalent to 10. Then 10 is a very important number. That is what I have shown. There are 10 stage development once for all. That is it. Second thing is oxygen. In the combustion you are going to see 4 oxygens as such. 4 into 8 is 32 protons as such. Then there is a water element of 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, 8 is 10, again 10 protons. Now carbon dioxide has 1 carbon and 2 oxygen is 22. Now you see the reaction which takes place. Methane with 10, oxygen which is 2, actually is 32, 10 plus 32 is 42. Then again further you go to carbon dioxide, which is carbon dioxide 22 plus water of 2 is 20. So 42 and 42 plays very important role. Now you can understand, in the chemistry you can see in mercury you have 42% oxygen, and here also the drama of 42 only. 10 plus 32 equivalent to 22 plus 20. I think it's very interesting thing how the chemistry took shape with DIVYANK and mind. So 22 you can see, and you can see 10 in this concept very clearly. Now comes the atmosphere of Mother Earth, the divine divine chemistry, the divine divine this. Do you observe the divine divine chemistry now, as I told you in the beginning? Now repeating the same thing for your concentration. Methane with 10, oxygen 32, carbon dioxide 22, plus again 10 plus 10 is 20. I think that makes interesting very clear. It could also be 10 plus 16 plus 16, or 22 plus 10 plus 10. I think that also very interesting mathematics, how 8 and 16 on one side and 10 and 22 on the other side is a drama which chemistry is played, and that centers around DIVYANK alone. Now there comes to question of divine demands chemistry as such. As I told you in the same picture in different thing, methane plus oxygen is equal to carbon dioxide plus water. As such, you can see the picture very clearly. Same thing, there is a balance. I am showing the balance which is taking place both equivalent to 10 plus 32 plus 22 plus 20. This is a balance equilibrium, and that balance is maintained even today, which I am going to talk as we go on further. If the nature created this, that human being use carbon dioxide plus oxygen produce again carbon dioxide and water, and how carbon dioxide plus water put together was formed further into carbohydrate plus oxygen, and same used another thing you are going to see as we move on. Now I am going to show you a spiritual science, the divine example of chemistry, the way nature has designed as such the 4 basic elements, and how 4 basic elements, their energy level, their concept was revealed in Rigveda, Upanishads and other scriptures is very clear. Now first thing which comes to the first element is hydrogen, and it is associated with sun or Aditya as such. As I have told you very clearly, 4 atoms of hydrogen fuse together to form helium. So hydrogen is a atomic bomb. It's energy from which energy comes, and that is the sun, and that is the presiding deity of solar system. All the energy which comes from the sun is able to transform everything into oxygen energy as such, and that is what I mean to say. The sunlight is the most thing which has made life very, very clear on the earth. Without the sunlight, nothing would work the way things are working. So the most important element in the world is hydrogen, which is abundant in everything. A maximum is there in the hydrogen only, particularly with this to the outer planets. They are hydrogen and helium primarily. Maximum is hydrogen followed by helium, and you can outer planet, you can see that very clearly. Same thing right up to sun is very, very clear. So hydrogen is the one which is fundamental. All everything else has appeared from that I'm going to show you as we move on further to understand the beauty of hydrogen as a mononuclear concept. And why hydrogen bomb? High energy organic, everything is hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen alone. And then sun is the hydrogen, and that's it. Now come to the second element is helium. As I told you, Aditi, Antaratma, Kundalini, call what may be. You can even call Holy Spirit is that. That is helium 2, 2 proton, 2 neutron, 2 electron, which are inside. And this is a very stable element. There is a darkness inside and darkness outside. But if you go deep into that, you can see light inside the helium and outside darkness, and that is what Rigved is talking about, Antaratma or Atma's concept. And I think this is also very clear. And the picture shown is of the goddess Aditi, and you can see 2, 2, 2. You can see only two hands in the case of Aditi, and you can see the sun backside, and you can see the universe. You can all the things which the artist has put very clearly. Helium is produced in the sun, is a max number 2 in the world, and she is with the two arms. I think that is beauty of the ancient Indian scriptures of the idol worship or Murti Puja. How beautiful is the science in that, how mathematics is that, and this is proving that point one for all. Now the come to question of the sixth element is carbon. Hydrogen and helium for the first period. Second period, something which stands out here is carbon. Lord Shiva is the lord of dissolution and regeneration again, and Lord Shiva is associated with burnt ash or bhibhuti. You can see on the face all the Brahmins who Shivites by and large put a carbon in the neck as well as head very clearly. Why do they do it? Because they know very well without carbon there is no organic chemistry. Organic chemistry starts with carbon, is maintained by carbon, it dissolves into carbon, and that is where vibhuti comes. It is a dissolved one thing finally comes to carbon. The next life is also going to come. Now you can wonder why dissolution and regeneration comes with carbon only. And in this particular picture you can see 5 heads of Shiva, and that is the Panchbhutas I am talking about, and that is the 5 things in DIVYANK 0.34419. And these are the things very clear where the science and everything comes to one clear. This is 22 by 21 we have seen, 10 you have seen, 0.344 also I am showing you this. And answer this is clear. I think you are very clear. DIVYANK is the answer to everything from periodic table to the entire universe to the entire inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology. Everything revolves around DIVYANK only. That is divine design of nature being spoken for the first time, recognized, conceived and revealed in 2015 only, never before that. Now with that knowledge we can rectify the divine mathematics, divine physics, divine chemistry, divine biology and divine medical sciences, and I am not concerned with other subjects. And I think once that is understood we are very clear to go on to the next stage very clearly. Now the come to Kwanzaa, eighth element is oxygen. As I told you, Rigved gives the consideration Agni Bhuta only, and Agni Bhuta is oxygen, and that is oxygen produced by hydrogen of the sun or the universe into oxygen, and that is Vaishno Devi, that Durga you call it, Ashtabhujadhari. I am not talking of Durga with 18 arms. I am talking of Mata Vaishno Devi in this particular form, Ashtabhutadhari Durga, you can call it, or Vaishno Devi call it, 8 arms. That means she is the represent Agni Bhuta, and everything starts with Agni Bhuta transformation. More Agni to Vayu and Akash, and less Agni to fluid and solid form. And once that is understood, I think we are very clear in divine mathematics, step by step, how you are going to see chemistry unfolding its thing systematically, step by step. And this is the first concept which I am talking about. We will build slowly, step by step, to go to the higher and higher levels of unfolding, and then come to micro to macro to miniature chemistry, and how it functions within the human body in complete design. That is the chemistry which I will be talking about, and that is what I want everybody to understand. This is required for the knowledge for the world as such, nothing less than that. Now the whole thing is put into this picture. I am not going to talk about it. I think what I have introduced as a elementary chemistry, as inorganic chemistry, as such, I think is enough to start. We will get into the organic chemistry and biochemistry as we proceed further. Thank you very much.